And welcome to Cavs Daily, your one-stop shop for everything Cavs related. I'm your host, Paul Williams, and today we're going to go over everything that has to do with the Central Division and the teams the Cavs will play the most, and what was four other playoff teams outside of the Cavs from just a season ago. Before we get into all that, if you could like and subscribe, and a quick update on our neighbors, the Cleveland Guardians, just swept a two-game doubleheader against the Minnesota Twins to actually overtake the Houston Astros for the final wildcard spot and pull within just a game of the Detroit Tigers. They are knocking on history's door, and it's fun to watch. Hopefully, while the NBA season is tipping off, the Guardians are making their run to at least the ALCS for a second year in a row. Now, back to the Cavs stuff. Before we get into kind of dissecting the division, let's talk a little bit about the Cavs and their own issues, that, or maybe not issues, but their own kinks that they're working out, and a couple intriguing questions, especially one in particular that's going to come with the Cavs this season. Who will and who should take the role of the second option? I think it's clear Donovan Mitchell will remain the number one option as far as scoring goes, and especially when the Cavs need a bucket. He's going to be the go-to guy most of the time. But who should that second guy be? It was Darius Garland over the past 3 years, and that's worked out very well. But as I'm sure most NBA fans and definitely Cavs fans know, there's a guy in Evan Mobley who is ascending what seems like every day at this point, and it does seem like just a matter of time before he really does overtake Garland as the clear-cut second option in this offense. And who knows, maybe the number one option sooner than we think. But for now, right now, going into this season, who do you guys think will be that second guy? I have went back and forth on this a bit, but at the end of the day, I still think, at least for this season, I think it'll be Darius Garland, but I think it might be a 1A, 1B situation where, or really 1A, B, and C situation where Donovan continues to give the other guys as many opportunities as he can for them to make big plays and be the guy that gets leaned on from time to time throughout the season. So I think while Donovan will be the main man most of the time, I think we could see Evan Mobley and Darius Garland taking the reins as the go-to guy in any given game. And I think those three could be the 1, 2, and 3 option at any given time. As far as the second option on most nights, I do think it'll kind of fluctuate between Garland and Mobley depending on the situation and the matchups. If we have a perimeter advantage where there's just a guy that can't stay in front of Garland, then of course we should continue to exploit that and make sure he's at least the second fiddle and getting those touches. If Evan has a big advantage down low or he's having a great game, then he can definitely also step up and take that mantle. But Mobley's going to get his no matter what, and he's going to be an MVP level player on the defensive end no matter what. So he still has time to grow into that second offensive option. And while I think he can be that, I do think he still needs a couple more real go-to moves in the post that he knows when he just needs a bucket or needs to draw a foul and get to the free throw line. He does have those moves that he can go to. So if those are developed, which it looks like he was in the lab all summer working on them, if he does come back with a couple more options as far as his move set goes, then he, I think, rightfully so, could take that mantle this year coming up. But I think it's only a matter of time and is inevitable regardless that he's going to be that number two guy in the long run. possibly the number one guy. But for now, I think it's just slightly still Garland, with Mobley also having his hand in that entire second option situation. Now, as we kind of hinted to at the beginning of the episode, I want to dig in a little bit on some of the teams we're going to be competing against for the division and seeing 4 times throughout the season. The Central Division has 5 teams, obviously, so the Cavs have 4 competitors that they have to worry about each year. Last year, the Cavs won the division once again, and the Pacers actually finished second last year with the 50-32 record, followed by the Pistons in third, and then, the Bucks finished in third last year at 48-34. The Pistons came in fourth at 44-38. The Bulls rounded out the division at 39-43. But all 5 teams made the playoffs last season, which is pretty impressive. The Pistons made it as the 6th seed, while the Pacers were the 4th seed, and the Bucks were the 5th seed. The Bulls also were a play-in team, finishing 9th overall. So I guess technically they weren't a playoff team, but they were in the play-in. I think the Bulls will be the one team that finishes in the same spot they did last year within the division at 5th. And I think, well, the Cavs, I do think, will finish first again. But as far as our competition goes, I think the Bulls will be the only team that finishes in the same position they did last year. They didn't make any additions that really changes the trajectory of their team. They seem like they're just okay being perpetual play-in contenders, which that's what they want to do. More power to them. They have a weird group of, I guess at least it's mostly younger guys now, outside of a few holdovers after getting rid of guys like DeRozan and Levine in the past year or so. They have Josh Giddey, who they're kind of building around. I don't know if he's a real number one option like that, but that's just who they have at the moment. Kobe White came into his own last year, so he is a intriguing player for them, but he might not be there that long. Bucelis looks like he could be a player, but overall, I don't see the Bulls as much different than they've been the past who knows how long. They're not a real threat, and I don't think they'll be anytime soon. The Pacers would have been a threat or more of a threat, but after losing Halliburton in the finals and him being out all season and then losing Miles Turner as well, I just don't see much of a threat from them either. They still do have some holdovers that will make them competitive enough, and I don't think they'll bottom out as like the worst team in the East, but I do see them finishing 4th in the Central Division this year and maybe competing with the Bulls for one of those play-in spots. Now for the other 2 teams who should be top 5, top 6 teams in the Eastern Conference this year, the Detroit Pistons, coming off of one of their best seasons in the past 15, 16 years, last year at 44-38, making the playoffs, losing to the Knicks in a competitive first round matchup. They made a few interesting additions, bringing in Duncan Robinson from the Miami Heat and old Cavs friend Karis LeVert to what it looks like take the role of Malik Beasley from last season. They also will be bringing back Jaden Ivey, who missed the majority of last season with injury. So they have a few pieces that they brought in that I think are intriguing to go with their core of Cade Cunningham, Azor Thompson, Jalen Duran, and Tobias Harris. They have a solid squad. J.B. Bickerstaff at the helm. He is a good coach, but as I mentioned before, I do think there's a ceiling to him as a coach and for the team that he's coaching. And I think the Pistons kind of overachieved last season. I think they may regress a bit back to the means, even if that ends up with them finishing around the same record at 45 wins, 44 wins. I don't think they're going to take the step that many do believe that they'll take. But I do think they'll still be a playoff team, even if it is the sixth seed. Um, yeah, they don't really scare me that much, but I do respect what they did last year. They were a gritty squad. That's just kind of what you expect from a bigger staff team. So I think the Pistons will finish third in the division this year, and maybe they can take a step and make it to the second round. But that's the ceiling that I see for them. As far as the Milwaukee Bucks, I think a lot of people are kind of counting them out now after losing Damian Lillard for nothing in the offseason. He was injured, so they weren't going to have him either way. But the thing is, I don't think he was ever a great fit for that Bucks team, and I think bringing in Miles Turner and also an under the radar addition, bringing in Cole Anthony to help with point guard duties. I think both of those additions will be huge for the Bucks. I just think they fit the type of team they need to be around Giannis to be most successful. And I mean, it's all going to hinge on a couple of guys that are veterans now and have shown that they have talent to be above average players in the league, but just can't consistently do it. Guys like Kevin Porter Jr. and Kyle Kuzma. If they can be locked in and play well next year, I really do think the Bucks could be one of the better teams in the East. I think they could repeat record-wise the season they had last year at 48 and 34. And yeah, I think they'll obviously be a playoff team again. And I do think they'll finish second in the division. Now, just because I have them finish second in the division doesn't mean necessarily that they're the biggest threat matchup-wise to the Cavs specifically. Um, I might think that they are going to have the best overall season, but as far as matchup-wise and playing a seven-game series, which team from the Central worries me the most and do I think would have the highest odds of beating and upsetting the Cavs in a series? If I'm being honest, I don't really think any of them have much of a shot to do that, but I would give it to the Bucks if I had to pick one, and that's because the Pistons I think are still too young, and I don't think that the guys that they do have are at a level that can match what the Cavs can put out on the floor in a playoff series. Obviously, if injuries change the Cavs roster going into the playoffs, then all bets are off. But with both teams fully healthy, I like the way the Cavs match up against the Pistons. The Pacers, with Halliburton, maybe that would have been a tougher matchup. But as they stand now, I don't see them being a problem next year, this year, or for the foreseeable future. And the Bulls, kind of same thing. The Bulls aren't going to threaten us. We could play an 100-game series, and I'd be shocked if they won double-digit games. No offense, Chicago, just keeping it 100 with the state of your basketball team. But I do think the Bucks, if some of those guys I talked about, like Kuzma and Porter, and even Gary Trent Jr., Gary Harris, if guys like that can have solid seasons and just do enough to chip in while Giannis does what he does, Miles Turner does what he does, and I think Cole Anthony will have the best season of his career with the least amount of attention he's ever going to get playing with a guy like Giannis. I think they can be a problem. And anytime you have the size that they have, the rim protection that they have now with Turner and Giannis, it's going to be a tough team to beat in a playoff series. And when you have the superstar power in the NBA, you always have a chance. And the Bucks obviously have that superstar. So I think it's pretty clear that they're our biggest threat as far as a matchup goes. I may be wrong, and who knows, maybe the Pistons take a huge leap this year and are clearly a better team than the Bucks and a tougher out than the Bucks would be for the Cavs. But sitting where I'm sitting right now, with the season just over 30 days away, I do think the Bucks would be the team within the division I'd least want to face in a 7-game series. Though I do think the Cavs would handle them with relative ease, maybe 4-1, 4-2 at worst. But that's just within the division, the team that I would not want to face. And with that, we're going to wrap up today's episode. I appreciate you guys if you made it this far. I know that if you're riding with me like that, you'll be checking in back tomorrow, and I will be here with another banger. Hopefully by the time I drop my next video, we're talking about the Cleveland Guardians being in first place in their division, just like the Cavs should be in this upcoming season. Regardless what happens, we'll talk about it here, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a great one. Thank you again.